after Elvis can only come Melvis! Melvis, ladies and gentlemen, Melvis!
Rumors have been circulating over the years about Melvis, the man, the performer. Tonight, we are going back to where it all began. Perhaps by retracing Melvis's career, we can gain insights into why he ended up here. Few careers have risen so high, and none in recent memory fallen so quickly. How did it happen? Why Melvis? Why the tragic end to a seemingly charmed life? There are those that argue that answers to these questions may prove only to be conjecture. They say Melvis is gone. Let his legacy rest in peace. Indeed, these memories are painful to many, but we must remember that Melvis touched the lives of, dozens of people, and they deserve the satisfaction of seeing every stone unturned. Perhaps by looking deep, we can uncover facts which may keep other rock and roll stars, present and future, from losing it. We ask that small children be allowed to stay in the room and watch. Although upsetting, it's something that should be seen, and perhaps discussed with their parents afterwards. Herein lies our story.
One for my tummy, two for my brain. Take a whole handful, it don't feel the same, so won't you try something?
This is East Moline, Illinois. God-fearing, hard-working Americans. Hardly the place one would expect Melvis to hail from. Yet somewhere behind this placid exterior of rural America lay the seed that blossomed into this great man. Why this town? Could it be the water? The climate? Scientists say if they take 1 million pair of monkeys and put them on 1 million planets, each with a different atmosphere and terrain, chances are 6 times 10 to the 14th power that any of their descendants would be a Melvis. Of course, if each pair of monkeys has a female, the odds drop quite a bit. But these facts and figures give you an idea of how unique Melvis was. Catherine Wintermeyer was, and still is, principal of the East Moline Elementary School where Melvis spent his formative years. Those close to Melvis said he often spoke of her, sometimes even while he was awake.
Oh, that Melvis. He was such a quiet little boy. Always did his homework, was so good with numbers. I'll have to admit, even back then he had the cutest little tush. You know, I probably shouldn't be telling this to anyone, but I used to have him go up and erase the blackboard so I could watch him shake it.
There are those that blame Mrs. Wintermeyer's gentle and thorough education for what would later happen to their fallen hero. As Aristotle once said, "Know not what demon seeds are laid under guise of compassion." Could this be a Nostradamus-type prophecy to be fulfilled 3,000 years later? We spoke with Melvis's mother.
I'll be with you in a second, honey. I'll be with you in a second. Oh, gee, there's gum on the carpeting. Who got the gum on the carpeting? Who got the gum? Just bring that spot remover, will you? For Christ's sake, no, please. Well, hon, you know, Melvis wasn't his real name. That's one of them stagey type names. I never liked it. No, but all the girls thought it was so cool, so we decided to keep it. You know, he was such an ordinary boy. Nothing exceptional about him, At least not until that Melvis thing. You know, by the time the end came, his father and I were kind of glad. He couldn't keep up that pace forever. It was nonstop. It was nonstop. Oh. Who spilt the Coke? Bring a rag. Somebody bring a rag. There's a Coke on the floor. Oh, for Christ's sake, you try to have a nice house and no one gives a...
You want me to talk about Melvis? What can I say? He was a god in Des Moines. They loved him in Albany. You got applause there. He was very, very popular, you know. I miss him terribly.
You discovered Melvis, didn't you?
Of course I did. I first saw Mel. His close friends called him Mel, you know. I first saw Mel in a small club in East Moline, Illinois. I think it was called the Cha-Cha Room or something like that. It was in the Holiday Inn. There's only one Holiday Inn in East Moline. Don't swim in the pool, though. Ugh. Anyway, I went down to check out this 82-year-old juggler. I heard she juggled live kittens. I am a sucker for a good animal act. Anyway, I'm waiting for her to go on. And who should open for her but Melvis? Boy, let me tell you, I heard that first song, and I knew, hey, here's my boy. I signed him that night, and I stayed with him until the very end.
Not everyone viewed Sid Slick as a benefactor to Melvis. Podunk Records Executive Vice President Harold Gaston spoke unkindly when asked of Mr. Slick's ethics.
You know, Sid Slick's a freaking bum. Treats all his talent like garbage. All of it. Garbage, garbage. You know, Melvis would still be here today if he had a better manager. You betcha. You know, he could have been as big as Harry Milkee. Yeah, Harry Milkee. Yeah. 2 E's. Harry Milkee, that great Vegas performer, does a super Wayne Newton impersonation. Dankeschön. Yo, Dankeschön. You know, Sid had a chance to sign Shecky, passed on it. Could have managed it, but he passed on it. Can you believe it? Biggest freaking mistake he ever made in his whole life. Listen, I tell you, Shecky's big in the business. He's big in the industry. You ask anyone, they'll tell you.
Excuse me, Mr. Shecky, have you seen Harold?
Get the hell out of here, will you? Listen, all right, I'm going to tell you right now. Sid blew it. Sid blew it, you understand? I was a bigger star than Melvis. I was a bigger star. Sid never realized it. He never realized it. You know what? Am I bitter? Am I bitter? You betcha I'm bitter. I'm real bitter, for crying out loud. It should have been me doing that Goodbye from Hawaii concert. It should have been me. And you know what? You want to know something else? Melvis would have bombed in those early days if I hadn't opened up for him. He would have bombed. And you want to know something else? You want to know something else? I could have been a super duper star. I could have went to Tokyo. They would have loved me over there. I'm pissed, you understand?
This is where Melvis used to hang out after school. Friends remember that it was at this booth that a shy, bespectacled member of the math club would do his homework. Today, a plaque hangs in his honor so that the world may know that East Moline is proud of their lost hero.
Yeah, Melvis and I grew up together. We were like that. Yeah. In fact, the booth is right over there where we did our homework together. Yeah, Melvis would always finish first and I'd copy his answers. Melvis told me I shouldn't be copying because I could limit my future, but, well, heck, look at me now. I'm in the food service industry. And you know what? I'm an assistant manager trainee. Yeah, that Melvis, he was really something. Hey, did you ever see his Goodbye from Hawaii TV special? Yeah, it's the only one they ever filmed. You know, Melvis had a thing about cameras. I think that's because back in school, I brought a camera to show and tell, and Boff the Bruiser took it and stuffed it down his pants, and I started clicking off pictures. Boy, was Mel embarrassed. Here, it's $1.50.
After L comes M, so after Elvis can only come Melvis! Melvis, ladies and gentlemen, Melvis!
I taught Melvis science in high school. Want to see a brain tumor? Oh, okay. Melvis was kind of shy, except in biology. He'd like it when we'd spread the frog's legs apart to dissect them. That's my favorite part, too. Taking those little froggy legs, seeing how far I can stretch them apart, and then sticking the legs in there. You know, Melvis had an unusual habit. He'd like to do is take things and stick them in the stomachs of the dissected frogs when he didn't think I was looking. You know, things like erasers, paper clips, anything that would fit. You know, and then he'd say, hey, look, Dr. Bambi-Ba, look what this frog ate. I admired his creativity, so I just kept giving him bigger and bigger frogs to dissect until one day, what do you know, he pulls out a double cheeseburger and a large order of fries. That Mel, his close friends called him Mel, you know. I gave him an A.
Ooh, I'm standing in the Harvest bookstore. This is where the legacy of Melvis began. Melvis, a shy, respected public accountant, received and read a copy of this. Albert Goldman's shocking and searing biography, Elvis. He walked away a changed man. He wanted to become Elvis. He wanted to breathe Elvis. He wanted to emulate this larger-than-life superstar. Not so much for the fine music Elvis created, but for all the kinky sex and drugs we now know Elvis indulged in. Blind TV evangelist, the Reverend Maharishi Mahesh Yogi Berra Him, known to his friends as the Reverend of Rock and Roll and Get Down Funkiness, is generally credited with helping Melvis establish his musical roots.
How's that look? Friends, I feel the presence of a television camera, so hallelujah. Show friends, I gave him the book. I had to give him the book. He came unto me a pitiful man leading a pitiful existence, hallelujah. He came unto me wanting to use my telephonic communication device to make a phone call. Said his pick-em-up truck had broken down and that he was lost. He wanted to call a tow truck, so hallelujah. Friends, he was in sore estate. He was a lost individual. He had no rhythm. He had no sense of melody. I don't even want to tell you what his clothes looked like, say hallelujah. Well, I couldn't see him. I had to kind of feel him a little bit. Say hallelujah. For God's sake, he was singing Dankeschön. Dankeschön. Who did he think he was? Harry Milkee or something? I knew his heart was in the right place, but he had no soul. S-O-W-L, soul. So we began to read from the Old Testament of rock and roll, B.B. before Beatles. We began to read from the Book of Berry, the father of rock and roll, Chuck Berry. And he said unto me, Mel said to me, his good friends called him Mel, you know. He said, Reverend, what about Genesis? And I said, Genesis? That's the New Testament of rock and roll. A.B. after Beatles, you dumb fool. With that, I looked at him straight in the eye. And I felt those eyes. And I knew he was looking at me because I could tell it when the eyebrows are pointing and the way his eyeballs are poking out at me. I said, St. Sigur said it best. St. Sigur, the disciple from Detroit. He said, take those old records off the shelf. I sit and listen to them by myself. Today's music ain't got the same soul. I like that old-time rock and roll. Say hallelujah. And friends, from that day on, it was uncanny. The differences came every single day. One day he'd add the sideburns. The next day it was the high collars. Then the voice. Then the cellulite. The drugs. The women. Say hallelujah for the women. Oh, he had earned my respect. Yeah. He was so different after that. I mean, always drooling and bumping into things. And the girls, a different one every night. Most of them kind of young, too. His father wouldn't let him near the barn anymore.
Ain't nothing but a pill geek, popping all the time. Ain't nothing. I hear the cows are coming, they're grazing in the field. I know I can't eat burgers, but I'm hungry for a meal. I'm just a tired Bombay cowboy. No roasted beef for me. Why must I be a Hindu? Yippee-yi-cow-wee. When I was just a young boy, my mama always said, someday you'll be a man and have a red dot on your head. I'm going swimming in the Ganges. You can come along. I want a windy sandwich, but I must sing this song. I hear the cows are coming around the bend. They really piss me off, 'cause I know I can't eat them. I'm the only Hindu cowboy. He's a part for me. Who needs the Willie Nelsons or the Pakistanis?
Bronco Bhagwan Billy Plantain was one of Melvis's earliest musical influences. As an up-and-coming East Indian country and western singer, Bhagwan Billy played East Moline several times a year. He found its citizens more than receptive, and one citizen left a lasting impression.
Oh, I tell you there, partner. I tell you, buckaroo, I knew Melvis when he was just an accountant. Yeah, not too many people knew him back then. I knew him. He used to come down to the cha-cha room every time I played down there. That man, I tell you, he was down there so much I thought he had a room or something. He could have been even eating there, I don't know. If he was eating there, that's something, because that was bad food. One beer, bad food, bad place, too. It paid me, but that was all right. I like to be paid. I like the money. It's good. I tell you that, East Moline, that's one heck of a town. You can do real well there. Almost any performer can do real well in East Moline. And Melvis, you know, one of the last times I saw him, he came down to the show. I think it was after his final fat injection. Looking big, real big man, big. I think he went up a suit size, about 50, size 50, I think it was that suit size. And he said to me, he wanted to know how Elvis would have acted if he would have been from Bombay, how he would have acted and looked. I don't know. We did a lot of Elvis songs that night. That Melvis, one of the last times I saw him, he was on the cover of the People magazine. A very, very big star indeed. Real big, size 50 at least.
There is one glaring difference between Mel and El which really annoyed Melvis. Unlike his hero, Melvis had never been drafted. Already too old, too fat, and too addicted to enlist, Melvis opted for USO shows instead. He is well remembered by those he entertained.
Melvis did a show for us in El Salvador. Sandinistas everywhere. Halfway through a drug me tender, artillery hit. Here, let me show you. This is Melvis. Sure, I know it's a doll. Don't ask me why I have it. I just do. Gets lonely out here. This is my buddy, my pal, my friend. Over here, we have the Percodance. Now, let's see. Melvis was sitting right up here like that there. Messed up as always. Wait a second. I need another Percodance. Okay. I said don't ask. It's not really a girl doll. It's a boy doll dressed as a girl doll. He likes it like that. He or she, whatever you want to call it, was standing right up there, really getting into it. Had live action going on back here. Then we took a direct hit. A big shell blew up over here in front of this person. Blew the arms clear back over here like this. Another big shell landed right there in the front. Blew his head clean off. Then they brought in the heavy artillery. Made this little puppy myself. Damn it! That was a close one. It's a good thing Melvis was face down, otherwise he might have bought the farm. Melvis wandered off just before the napalm strike. Yep, the napalm. They brought in the napalm. You know, I got my second Purple Heart that night. Yep. Napalm! Napalm! All over the place! God damn it! Those sons of bitches! Your place was on fire all over! Melvis was so out of it, he didn't see his band burning behind him. That's why he uses a cassette. He still thinks they're there. That Melvis was a hell of an American. I went up to him one day and I said, Melvis, what do you think of communism? He just rolled his eyes in the back of his head, turned and puked. I said to him, yeah, makes me sick too. Melvis, as long as he was doing those USO shows, I kept signing on for extra hitches. He was an American, a hell of an American.
One for my tummy, two for my brain. Take a whole handful, I don't feel the same, so won't you try some of my Quaaludes now? How? You can do anything but lay off of my new Quaaludes. Yo, Danny. Yeah, it's Mitchie. Yeah, is the vet ready? It is? Well, hey, the Mitch Master's in town, so put the top down. Yeah, bye. Yeah, that Melvis was a real 80s man, you know what I mean? Helped us every day guys out, too. Yeah. I'd tell you, I'd get a chick up at the condo, I'd pop in a Melvis cassette, and I'd have that chick in the old mattress faster than you can say, I've just been tested, and the results were negative. Yeah! Not that I needed Melvis's help with the ladies. No, not me. No, I don't need any help with the girls, not when you're packing with what I got here. No, check it out, check it out, check it out. Yeah. Big screen TV. I got a VCR, CD, 250 watts of power. Yeah. I don't need any help with the women. No.
Why are you talking like
Melvis? Oh, Melvis is great. I mean, he was really cute when he would fall down and everything. That was the greatest.
Oh, really? There'll never be another Melvis.
No.
Yeah, the local radio station here in East Moline ran a contest, a phone in for your favorite star contest. Yeah, you could vote for anyone, the Beatles, Melvis, heck, even big stars like Air Supply. I voted twice.
It's Smilin' Mike Michaels on WYXE, East Moline's #1 hit music and information station. And now, by request, here's Air Supply.
Yeah, we ran a contest. I got together with some of the other stations and we staged the first annual Mike Michaels, Dan Daniels, Jeff Jeffries, Pete Peters, and Sylvester St. John. He's new. Phone in for your favorite star competition. It was incredible. The response was unbelievable. And hey, we had at least a dozen calls. And you know what? Melvis won. He won. It was tough, though. Air Supply came in a close second. I guess Melvis really is the king, isn't he? Oh, wait a second.
It's Mike Michaels on WYXE. That was Air Supply. And stay tuned, I have some more information on that big Air Supply weekend. It wasn't always fast cars and loose women. This photograph, one of the first taken of Melvis, shows a clear-headed, still healthy performer. Sid Slick explains.
Yeah, I took that picture. It was just after he started to grow the sideburns. Yeah. You know, traces of his accounting past were still evident. Yeah, for example, he'd read the business section of the newspaper every single day. And you know what? He was into the stock market, too. That didn't last long, though. Took a few weeks. We're up in old Orchard Beach, Maine, you know, going over the tour and everything. Costumes, songs, itinerary, all that stuff. Him and the Perkins laid down a couple of rough tracks and a couple of cassettes. Let me tell you, nice stuff, pure stuff, simple stuff. Pure Melvis. Super, just super. We started his first tour in Berlin, New Hampshire. I got a friend who owns a resort there. Good people, real good people. Then I wanted to test the audience in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. You know, the groundhog place. Any legitimate act plays Punxsutawney. From there, we were ready for East Liverpool, Ohio. Very good response. Very, very good. You know, but not quite as good as in Edinburgh, Indiana. Humboldt, Iowa was a rough show, I gotta tell you. The Perkins didn't know any songs about cattle, farm implements, or the Iowa pork queen. But you know what? By Heavener Springs, Arkansas, we had 5 of those babies nailed solid. Then it was off to Enid, Oklahoma. Melvis knocked those 6 people dead right off the bar stool. Boom. Cando, North Dakota was wonderful. Melvis had never passed out in snow before. Said it felt much nicer than the parking lot he fell on in Tatum, New Mexico. Let's see now. He spent a week in a detox ward in Absaroki, Montana. Finally, it was off to Miami for some fun, yeah. So we drove all night and watched the sunrise over Miami, Arizona. It was lovely. I wish Melvis could have been awake to see it. According to our tour diary, Melvis thought Nez Perce, Idaho was the friendliest town we played, and Coachella, California had the cleanest women. We took a side trip from Klamath Falls, Oregon, over to Fruitland, Idaho. Melvis met a nice boy in Fruitland named David. They spent a lot of time together. Hey, and you know what? No tour is complete without a stop in Toledo. Yep, those were the fun times. People would always ask me, what's he like? What's he like? Melvis was a great guy. And you know what? All that falling down and forgetting lyrics, that was no act. Melvis was genuine. He was really that weird. And I remember he really liked his backup band, too. Always giving them bikes. He was so generous.
Melvis always wanted to be a patrol boy. He'd buy the patrol boys' bikes and sit around listening to patrol stories. He was pretty spaced out, even back in those early days, but nothing like what he became. Like his phobia about filming his concerts, he would not allow it. This Super 8 film was secretly taken by a devoted fan. It is the only record of Melvis at his zenith. It is rumored that they snuck the camera in by disguising it as a cassava melon. Melvis's band, Greg, Bobby, and Tim, would remain with them until they were blown up while performing at a USO show. Unaware of their death due to his drug condition, Melvis continued to send the Percodans bicycles regularly. These bikes are housed in the Schwinn Percodan Museum in Toledo. Next came a string of movies. His early films, Little Girls, 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 and Orange Tahiti, captured the lighter, happier moments in Melvis's career and established him as a box office sensation. Drug Me Tender was a light spoof about drug abuse that masked Melvis's own growing dependency. Chicken Creole glorified excess food consumption, but was critically acclaimed and catapulted Melvis to leading man status. Viva Los Alamos reflected Melvis's social awareness of the time. Many believed that Melvis did some of his best work while wearing a gas mask. His last film, IV Blues, was a frank, disturbing film. That, in retrospect, was the epitaph to a once enchanted career. Along with the success came the rumors. Stories of Melvis's exploits kept the tabloids busy for years. Melvis claims intimacy with aliens. Most accounts were dismissed as hype. Now, if there was a string of Melvis loves, they've all chosen to remain quiet with their memories. That is all except for Charlene Fest. Originally hired as a makeup girl, Charlene quit high school and toured with Melvis for over 2 years. Their relationship was common knowledge to Melvis insiders, but Charlene claims one secret has been kept from everyone all these years. Melvis Fest, alleged son of Melvis. Mini Mel, as he's known to his friends. Charlene feels he's entitled to part of the legacy and estate that Melvis left behind.
Mini Mel is just as talented as his father. I mean, like Melvis, Mini Mel plays absolutely no instrument, frequently bumps into things, and always seems to be in a fog. I mean, it's just not fair. Melvis promised he'd make Mini Mel a star.
I just want enough money to buy all the Transformers in the world.
See, I mean, the resemblance is obvious, don't you think? Show them, dear. See? Like father, like son.
But when this reporter confronted Charlene with medical proof that Melvis had been sterile since an earlier accident with a bicycle, Ms. Fest quickly changed her story and refused to answer any more questions.
Get up, Billy, get up. Listen, from now on, you're Greg Allman's kid. Turn that thing off. Turn that thing off. Looks like we won't get to Grossland after all.
Grossland, a living memorial to fast food, empty calories, and the man that symbolized both. Melvis constructed Grossland after his big hit, I'm All Screwed Up, sold over 2 million copies. The executor of Melvis's will, the Pizza Hut Corporation, graciously let us take a look inside. Perhaps the most unusual feature here at Grossland is the fact that every room, and there are 47 of them, is a kitchen. I'm sitting here in the bathroom. Melvis never wanted to be out of arm's reach from his beloved food. Oh look, pizza. A quick tour of the house reveals a strange, haunting hunger which still haunts Grossland. In the master bedroom, we see where Melvis slept. Friends tell us that Melvis spent a great deal of time in this study. The only remaining staff member at Grossland is head chef Bjorn Bjornberg. Melvis brought Bjorn over from his native Norway after sampling Bjorn's truffles during a stop in Stavanger. Bjorn explains a typical day's menu planning when Grossland was still in its glory.
Hey, yonder here to go to boss over here for the Melvis. Melvis, hey, yonder under. Ooh, ooh. In the front here for the Melvis now to go to boss here for the breakfast. Hey, yonder the breakfast. Hey, say breakfast, you know, skip the shit. Wait a minute. Hey, yonder for the boss over here to go over here for the lunch. Oh, yeah, lunch, you go to boss over here. Hey, yonder for the here with the hamburger bun. Yeah, hamburger bun. And then I go to boss over here with the, oh, yeah, with the peanut butter. Peanut butter heard of it, so under. Oh, yump and yimmy, he liked the peanut butter. Hey, yonder for here now to get the boss over here now. In the front of the chunky blue cheese. Hinger for her, yeah. Chunky blue cheese and the dressing of the boss over the salad. No, hamburger bun. Hey, and the way go her to get the boss over here now. In the front of the boss over here to get the here by the ketchup. Oh, yeah, ketchup. Go to boss over here. Whoop. Woo! Yeah! Okay, now, in the front, hinger for go. Yeah, get the boss over here, the reindeer ball. Yeah, reindeer ball to get the boss over here then. On the field over here to get over here with the grape peas. Oh, yeah, the grape peas are going to here with the fruit. Oh, yeah, fruit cake. Oh, yeah, get the boss over. On the fire, here to get the boss over here. In the front of it. Top hanger. No. Oh, yeah, in the boss under. Beggy, hold the beggy. Yeah, I'm gonna bust the beggy now. I'm gonna bust it, push it down there. Turn the first right there. Come right there. He's gonna bust the bit that are injured, bro. They're popping right in the middle. I'm gonna bust her. Yeah. Okay. He's gonna bust her. Yeah. In the burger. Lunch. Lunch. Okay. In the yeah. Now, in the burger, gonna bust the one here. Now they're gonna be able to supper. Oh, supper. Now they're gonna lettuce. Lettuce. Gonna bust the tea for courses. I'm gonna bust them. In the burger, lettuce. Now. In the lettuce. Now they're gonna bust one here. In the burger, go. Yeah. Okay. Now. In the burger, gonna bust here. Now. In the beaver cleaver. Yeah, but the beaver cleaver. Yeah, in the burger. Hold the burger. Yeah. They cut the off. In the burger, goes over here. Lettuce. Yeah. In the burger, gonna go to meet someone here now. Hey, you got over here. Yeah. Hey, in the burger. Oh, Melvis. I'll get a bust of Melvis. I got that big mother. Yeah. I got a bust of it now. Hey, in the burger, go to bust the mother here. I get a bust of mother. Boof to it. Hoof to it. Yeah. Okay. Now. In the burger here. There. So you go to bust her. Yeah. More reindeer balls. Yeah. Reindeer balls. Okay. Now. In the burger, bust the mother here now. In the burger, go to bust the video. Go to bust the video. Oh, he ever the peanut butter again? Yeah. He love the peanut butter. Hey, you got to bust the mother here. Yeah. I got a bust the peanut butter here and tomatoes. He's got a bust the mother here. Hey, in the burger, cut the tomatoes. No. Whole thing. Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, you got to bust now. In the burger here for the cucumber. Whole thing. No. They cut up there. Hey, the cucumber. You got to bust the mother here. Now. Get to say. Go to what is there? Yeah. In the burger here. The big guy. In the burger. Yeah. Big more. Get out. In the burger, go to here with the great piece. Yeah. More great piece. And you got to bust the mother. And then they're gonna bust her. For peanut butter! Yeah, peanut butter, okay. Yeah, if the peanut butter gonna bust it here, and they're gonna bust it under here. Jumpen Jiminate, on the fair, go to base under.
Success came quickly and easily for Melvis, perhaps too easily. Soon he was at the top of the heap. The pressures were enormous. Melvis found a little comfort and relaxation at the Whooping Cough Lodge and Fishing Retreat in Stink Creek, Tennessee. Owner and longtime Melvis friend, Big Jim Guts, tells of a happier time.
Yeah, that Melvis, he'd come up here to unwind. A lot of your more famous types like to do that here at the Whooping Cough, you know. But Melvis, he was the biggest. Had to spit. Anyway, I remember once we had Melvis come up to help us judge the Miss Carp contest. Yeah, we have that every year during the annual Carporama. That's why it's called annual every year. That kind of, you look it up. Anyway, what we do is take the contestants, throw them in the creek, and the one that sucks up the most mud is the winner. Well, Melvis passed out. We didn't know this. Heck, they almost all drowned. That's no be-all anyway. Have to spit. Anyway, that Melvis, he had an unusual way of catching fish. He'd wait till a dead one would come floating up near the shore. They do that a lot here in Stink Creek, because we're just a mile down from the chemical plant here. Anyway, he'd take that dead, rotten fish, stick it on his hook, and then he'd come running up to me like he caught the sucker, saying, "Hey, look at Big Jim, look at this here fish I caught." Had to spit. Anyway, I didn't want to hurt his feelings and all. I knew what he was doing and stuff, and so I just take out the sterno, put on the skillet, throw the sucker in there and fry it up, and we'd eat it right on the spot. Had to spit. Anyway, I tell you, that Melvis, he'd do a lot of weird things up here. He'd do a lot of weird things. Sometimes when we'd be cleaning the fish, when he thought I wasn't looking, he would take things and stick them in their stomach. Right in their stomach. Things like business cards, pennies, anything I had in his pocket. And then he'd say to me, "Hey there, Big Jim, look what this here fish ate." Had to spit. That don't beat off. Ooh, there's a big sucker. Come here, you. We got some dinner.
Once back from Stink Creek, Melvis was engulfed by a voracious audience, always hungry for more. The pressures returned, and for the first time in years, Melvis had to work on a new and flashier act. This studio publicity film shows Melvis rehearsing for his now famous Goodbye from Hawaii concert. Friends close to him at the time say they'd never seen him work that hard.
Okay, ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Whether it was demands from his record company, a loss of privacy, or the accumulation of drugs finally taking their toll, Melvis began to backslide. Rodney Pritchett, Melvis's longtime stage manager, vividly recalls this period.
In retrospect, we all should have seen it coming. I mean, the pace was non-stop. He had no one to talk to. What else could he do? Just a minute. Yes, I'm on camera right now. I'm on camera. I'll get it later, okay. I mean, the first time that I caught him doing it was before a show in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Yes, I went into his dressing room to give him his 5-minute notice, and whoo, I caught him in the act. He was so surprised, he jumped up and slammed the door in my face. He said, "I'll pull it in a minute. I'll pull it in a minute, you bitch." I tell you, I gotta admit, though, he put on one hell of a show that night. "Okay, I'll pull it. I'll pull it."
What Rodney saw was Melvis wearing bifocals and reading this. Fundamental Accounting Principles. How he got the book, no one knows. Perhaps it was snuck backstage by a couple of business majors. Maybe it was left by the previous act. We'll probably never know. What we do know, though, is that these books are easily obtainable on the road by rock musicians. And they're plentiful, inexpensive, and very dangerous.
It's an epidemic. How do you fight an epidemic? I mean, you know how many brilliant careers have been ruined by business knowledge? I lost 7 acts in the last 2 years. 7 acts in 2 years. I mean, it's something you never get used to. I mean, you know, you try to keep your distance, but when it happens, it's upsetting. Not to mention financially disastrous. What a bummer.
It's not talked about much, but we see it all the time. How can we stop it? You confiscate one book, they hit a second-hand bookstore in a seedy part of town and score a manual on how to set up a general ledger. It's even worse with computers. Musicians hide those discs in their pockets. Accounting interface programs are everywhere. What are you gonna do? Strip search every guy with a guitar? Fact is, every rock tour bus out there has at least one computer on board. It's too big. We can't handle it, don't have the resources. It was certainly too big for Melvis. What began as a part-time habit quickly grew. After shows, Melvis was sneaking off to private study parties. Pocket calculators were found in his costumes. Computer store owners, only too willing to earn Melvis's friendship, would open up their stores after hours and let him run programs all night long. Scooter O'Halloran, Melvis's bodyguard and friend for nearly 4 years, recalls this period. "Hey, lady, here's a quarter. Call Orkin, will you? There's bad bugs in this town. Here, give him a call. Orkin.
Yeah. Melvis hired me as his bodyguard to protect him right when his career started to take off. He knew I was a bad dude. Yeah. I know karate, yeah. And I got a lot of black belts in kung fu and jiu-jitsu and teriyaki and Mitsubishi, you know. And you know what Melvis really liked, though? Melvis really liked the way I could do a wheelie on my 10-speed. Yeah, I could go for 2 or 3 blocks just on the back tire. Can you do that? I bet you can't. I bet you can't. You know, yeah. I remember when all the fun ended, though. We all saw it coming, but what can you do? What can you do? You know, when those balance sheets got their hooks in you, yeah, forget it, yeah. I ought to know. I know, because I was into math for a while. Yeah, I was doing math. Fortunately, a friend of mine got me to AA, Algebra Anonymous, before it was too late. And you know, even now, though, I can't look at a times table without feeling the urge to multiply. And I'm stuck with this forever, you know. This is with me for life. It is. Yeah. You know, when I saw that picture of Melvis in a newspaper at the airport, I knew he was lost.
Melvis never wore glasses when I knew him. Never. Wasn't part of his image. Besides, he couldn't even see when he was drugged. Nope. If he owned them back then, none of us had any idea. It's just not something a rock star does.
The glasses scandal peaked with this photograph taken in a New York restaurant by a fan. Instead of bowing to public outrage and removing the glasses, Melvis rebelled even more.
I told him to get rid of the glasses. Point blank, get rid of the glasses. By then, he was in a differential calculus. He was doing 2, 3, 4, I don't know how many problems a day. Had his own set of books, was sneaking off to financial seminars. By then it was too late. He was gone. Forget it.
Two days after the restaurant incident, Melvis appeared at a press conference as you see him here. He showed no signs of his addiction and went on to summarize the quarterly earnings reports of both General Motors and 7-Eleven. Bad news travels fast. This video appeared in every major newspaper and on every major 6 p.m. broadcast in the country. Prayer vigils went on through the night. A Melvis revival movement sprang up, while roadside vendors were selling pictures of Melvis on black velvet. Melvis coffee mugs, Melvis hats complete with pull-off Melvis Velcro patch. Melvis jeans. I love Melvis bumper stickers. Why, it was worse than professional wrestling. Dr. Roscoe Kidders, professor of psychology at the East Moline Business College, explains.
This is not uncommon. People need to express their grief. And along with the grief comes the rumors. When Melvis left, they were everywhere. In fact, a graduate student in one of my classes did a thesis in which he contended that Melvis died several years earlier in a car accident. In a car accident, died, and that a double was taking his place. Fantastic, a double. Utterly fantastic. Oh. On the cover of the Rug Me Tender, notice that the right hand, the whole palm is facing towards the sky. Now, in many African societies, this is a sign of death. And the photograph of Melvis on tour in Europe looks nothing like the real thing. Though hardly conclusive, I gave him an A. Not bad work. Not bad work, no. A double. Fantastic, utterly fantastic.
Sightings of a stumbling Melvis were everywhere. While Melvis was attending a recent accounting convention in Miami, a newspaper in El Paso had Melvis drooling into a microphone with Willie Nelson. During the same weekend, an Akron radio station claimed Melvis was passed out in a local bar. Perhaps the most bizarre story of all comes from California, where a man from San Francisco claims that Melvis and Jim Morrison are living together in his basement. Fueled by lust for business, Melvis formed his own accounting firm, Mel, and Mel. He began collecting favors from those he shared numbers with during his musical years. Brian Waller, president of DataFax, explains.
Melvis and I crunched some numbers together after his LSU concert. I was a senior at the time. Anyway, I started DataFax. One day, who should be at my doorstep but Melvis in a three-piece suit. I heard he'd gone back, but it was still quite a shock seeing him like that. He had a loaded spreadsheet on DataFax with him. His 5-year projections seemed attainable, so we signed on with his firm.
Brian Waller's story is just one of hundreds. Within a matter of months, Mel, and Mel became one of the country's most successful new businesses. Now the darling of Wall Street, Melvis took his company public in a move that increased his personal net worth to hundreds of millions of dollars. All of which brings us here, MelCare, the latest craze in hospital care. With 73 hospitals under the MelCare name, MelCare is posting huge profits and shows no sign of slowing down.
John, you only had to give that patient 5 stitches instead of 6.
Good God, Mel, you can't expect me to short stitch a patient.
Well, so the ends are open a little bit. Is that so bad? Do you know how much surgical thread costs me annually? Here, look at this. Here. $32,000 a year.
And another thing, I don't believe that patient ate the stapler. I only left the operating room for a moment. I'm sure I would have noticed something. And another thing, what about those business cards and pennies?
John, here's something else. Look at this.
It isn't pretty, but it needs to be shown. For those of you that still cling to Melvis memories, we have a toll-free hotline set up for you and your family members. We now leave you with classic Melvis. Thank you and good night.
Ain't nothing but a pill, G. Popping all the time. Ain't nothing but an acid free. Popping all the time. If it ain't gonna help us, it ain't no friend of mine. Well, bless my soul, what's wrong with me? The way that I took has made me feel. I may be the king, but I can barely sing a teardrop. I'm all screwed up, yeah. Well, Dr. Nick, won't let me quit. I'm a big rock star and I feel real sick. Give me Percodan, I can holler stand a teardrop. I'm all screwed up, yeah. Well, Dr. Nick, the papa feels no We may be true, let us soon be dead right now. Now give me one more red one to ride. One to fall, ain't too many without the call. I need piece of tea, intravenously, I need drugs. I'm all screwed up. Oh, yeah, yeah. Drug me true, sugarcoat the pills. If you see that I've turned blue and I'm lying still, then you'll know I've done too much. Somewhere I have waited. Don't despair. Cry for me, 'cause I'm with the king. You know, baby, I like to party a little bit, but sometimes you don't party too much out there. You start partying too much, you forget where you are, where you're at, who you are. You take out that driver's license. Cut driver's license at all times. You look at that driver's license, remember who you are, and you say, I can party till I forget again. And I want you to remember, I lost control of my mouth for a second there. But I got it back, because I'm in control. And you stay in control so you can party and party hardy. And remember, don't say no, say maybe. Then you'll know I've done too much. Somewhere I'll have waited. Don't despair or cry for me, 'cause I'm with the king.
Melvis has left the building, ladies and gentlemen. Melvis has left the building.